because technology develops so quick from software, whereas regulation is slow. Whereas software, you can write a new line of code, you can train a new model within a week or a month, and that is quick turnaround time.
So the biggest challenge is to create that balance between innovation and regulation.
Exactly, and regulation is trying to keep up while innovation is trying to push the boundaries of it, and so you're innovating so quickly, regulation can't catch up, and then they have to recall that. Our whole focus is to make business actionable insights so that people can pinpoint with high accuracy which innovation is going to make it and which innovation needs the right partnerships in order to succeed. You're going to get the speed of innovation and growth of the tech industry, but within MedTech, which the healthcare industry is not used to that rate of growth. So I think MedTech in the next 3 to 5 years is going to explode.
Today, we're diving into the world of intelligent innovation, exploring how AI is reshaping the way MedTech companies discover opportunities, design clinical trials, and make smarter decisions that truly move healthcare forward. Joining me is Dr. Kevin Saem, founder of Zapyrus, a market intelligence platform helping MedTech and biotech companies around the globe turn complex data into actionable business strategies. Kevin's background spans from lab research to building one of the most forward-thinking tools for medtech commercialization, proving that sometimes innovation doesn't come from reinventing the wheel, but from understanding where it's turning. Kevin, your career began in the research lab, but today you're helping companies decode markets and opportunities using AI. What originally inspired that leap from academic science to entrepreneurship, and why focus on the intelligence gap in medtech?
When you look at, I guess, how I've transitioned out of academia and even into academia, out of academia into the entrepreneurship side to startup companies, it seems like there's some sort of switch, right? But really, it's just been a continuous kind of one mission, and it's really just to chase impact for me. And so even going into the academic route, it's all kind of impact creation as the ultimate goal. And that goal really stems from my exposure earlier on in Cambodia, when I was growing up in Cambodia, to the impact of what portable diagnostics could do to an underdeveloped community or group of people in a developing country.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, so like at the time, I grew up in Cambodia in the 90s. And so we came after the Khmer Rouge kind of genocide era. And that was after the French had settled and did their thing. And so the country was kind of in turmoil. And then in the 90s, the AIDS and HIV epidemic came through Cambodia. And this was a delayed onset from the West. Like America had that in their 80s. Cambodia had it in the 90s. And because there was no proper hospital infrastructure or anything like that, the disease just spread across the whole country. And so I grew up seeing friends and families catch it and not know it, pass on to their kids and their spouse, and they didn't know what was going on, right? It wasn't until the UN stepped in with providing, and Red Cross provided portable HIV diagnostic testing, that the prevalency of the disease was able to be controlled a little bit more. And so that was my first exposure to diagnostic innovation. That really stuck with me. And so when I moved to Canada and I was pursuing academia, I thought back to how that kind of shaped a community in a developing country. And so when I pursued my research endeavors, I really wanted to focus on translational science and research and not just theoretical. And I wanted to produce innovations that could reach the people en masse, thus creating impact. And so that's how I got into the academic space. And all of my research, if you look at all the papers I publish and the patents and stuff, it's all translatable to innovations that you can bring to market.
Mm-hmm. And talking about innovation, how do you see AI helping companies streamline design, recruitment, or data interpretation? And what impact could this have on getting products to patients faster, in your opinion?
AI has become this buzzword really in
Absolutely.
our industry.
In a lot of industries.
Yeah, in a lot of industries. Zapyrus, we built we built our platform originally on top of in-house built natural language processing engines. This is before these large language models came online to the public. And we've integrated that into our products since then as well. But the way people think about AI and innovation, they think about agents. Like the first thing that comes to mind is like an AI agent that could do diagnostics, or an AI agent that could do whatever, like could replace a nurse workflow, or
You can ask anything you want.
you can ask anything you want, right? I mean, the imagination is there. Most people don't understand the technical breakdown of how it works, right? An agent's not just an agent, it's 15, 20 agents talking to each other that does very one specific thing. And so most applications of AI focus on speed. If you look at most of the pitches around AI innovation, it's around how can we do it faster for cheaper. The hurdle there is really, and in adoption of AI, is not just the speed benefit. You have to make sure it's effective and it works and it's safe. So I think people should really look at making it effective first before trying to push for the speed. Because the speed will come and it's a matter of time, but it's got to work. And that's how you get implementation of AI into these broader streams, is that it's got to be safe, it's got to be effective, just like a normal medical device. And then the main value proposition there is speed. You can do it faster, higher volume, cheaper.
Can you give us examples of how you're seeing AI transforming connected medical devices and diagnostics?
Yeah, so I met several CEOs that are trying to turn this on, specifically in the diagnostic space. Why the diagnostic space? Well, one, it's a lower barrier to entry. It's less risky, right? Let's say you have an implantable device in you, right? And that implantable device is connected to the cloud, connected to AI. If something goes wrong with that device inside your body, you gotta cut it open, extract it, or if there's some sort of breach, that's super high risk.
Yes.
In diagnostics, you can hook AI up to a diagnostic instrument that's on the benchtop. And if that thing fails or gets breached, people aren't going to die, right? And so if you're trying to introduce a new technology like AI, you want to introduce it to a lower barrier to entry, a safer kind of integration. And that's where you see it in the diagnostic space. So there's a lot of innovation happening in the diagnostic space, specifically around imaging analysis. So MRI imaging analysis, CT scan imaging analysis. So the idea there is to not replace, but to make the workflows of that type of technical analysis by physicians or pathologists much more streamlined and more accurate too. There's AI systems right now that can determine from an image much higher accuracy than a well-trained doctor even.
Where would you say the industry is still lagging behind? Where's the area where you see it the most?
That's a tough question. Regulation is lagging behind a lot in the AI world because technology develops so quick from software, whereas regulation is slow, right? It's on the timeline of normal medical devices. If you look back in history, right, it takes a long time to innovate physical devices, whereas software, you can write a new line of code, you can train a new model within a week or a month, and that is quick turnaround time.
So the biggest challenge is to create that balance between innovation and regulation.
Exactly, and regulation is trying to keep up while innovation is trying to push the boundaries of it. And so there are examples of some setbacks, right, where you're innovating so quickly, regulation can't catch up, and then they have to recall that, like after. And there's a blend between the tech industry and medtech right now too, which blurs the line a little bit.
And what do you believe it will take to make personalized medicine the new normal? And how can insights from data platforms like yours help pinpoint the highest impact opportunities?
What is going to make it normal? You mean like the
how can we normalize
personalized medicine?
Yes.
I mean, it's getting there. AI is going to accelerate it. If you look at drugs as personalized medicine, right? There's personalized cancer drugs that are out there. Part of personalized medicine is personalized diagnostics and personalized screening. So for example, if you have a certain rare type of cancer, and the personalized medicine there is extracting your cells, reprogramming it into a therapy that is personalized to your blood type, to your immune system, all of that. That requires a lot of screening and diagnostics. So AI hooking up to diagnostics is going to help make that screening more affordable and widespread so that it can integrate with personalized drug therapy and personalized device therapy. Where data comes in, like our data, we are looking at globally tracking all of these innovations that are coming online, innovations that are maturing, so that companies that can help these innovations come to market more effectively and more timely, like the service providers in the MedTech community, we help them find these innovations to work on to try to make sure that their regulatory is up to spec, their clinical trials are successful, they're manufacturing properly, if they're integrated with AI, their cybersecurity is up to spec. And so we help service providers in the medtech space help innovators bring their technologies to market and make it successful towards the patients.
How do you envision AI evolving to not just analyze data, but to actually guide business decisions, new partnerships, for example, investments?
Yeah, so for us, there's kind of 3 stages of how the world has kind of transformed in my mind, if I were to put a structure around it. There's the world pre-Google, okay? The world pre-Google is you're trying to find information through the library, through talking to people, through going to school. That's how you find information,
traditional.
Right? Very traditional.
Yeah.
And then there's a world of the internet, World Wide Web, Google, search engines. You now don't need to go to the library for that, right? You just go to Google, right?
Yeah.
And that is data, that information is data accessibility at a broad level. Now you enter the world of AI. The world of AI now looks at transforming data and making it faster to digest and making it more accessible to people. Our platform does that. So we've been transitioning from the data world into the AI kind of agentized space and beyond. And so our whole focus is to make business actionable insights so that people can pinpoint with high accuracy which innovation is going to make it and which innovations needs the right partnerships in order to succeed.
Kevin, where do you see the future of medtech heading?
I think medtech is going to grow faster in the healthcare industry in the next 3 to 5 years than what we've seen or have been used to in the healthcare industry in the past 20 years. The reason why I say that is because medtech can integrate very, very well with software. Medtech is an engineering problem. If you think about devices, it's engineers that make these devices.
Absolutely.
Whereas, and I come from a chemistry background, so the drug world is a chemistry problem. Mm-hmm. Drug design are chemists in the lab designing new variations of drug molecules and looking at that, right? Drugs can't integrate with software. Physical devices can, and software in its entirety can be a medical device in it of itself, right? And so you're going to get the speed of innovation and growth of the tech industry, but within medtech, which the healthcare industry is not used to that rate of growth. So I think medtech in the next 3 to 5 years is going to explode because of AI.
Kevin, thank you very much for speaking with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.